Time. It's the only thing we all wish we had more of, yet it's the one thing that we all waste the most. Musicians from all walks of life share the same frustrations. I'm too busy with work to focus on my passion. I don't have time to learn new skills. There just aren't enough hours in the day. But here's the truth. You have as many hours in the day as the greats. Beyonce, Jimi Hendrix, Quincy Jones, you name it. They all had 24 hours to master their craft just like you. As Confucius said, we all have two lives. The second begins when we realize we only have one. The key is to not count the days, but to make the days count. Lost time is never found again. Every hour spent wisely compounds into the career and life you dream of. So today, let's flip the script. Let's stop saying, I'll get to it later, because a year from now, you'll wish you had started today. Here on The Career Musician, we'll explore how to turn these small daily efforts into big wins. One note, one session, one opportunity, and one gig at a time. Time is your most valuable resource, my friends. Use it wisely because dreams don't work unless you do. Now let's get to work. Welcome to the Career Musician Podcast, where we help you get the gig, keep the gig, and go beyond the gig. Let's start over. That's right. Well, every year goes by. And you know what they say about time? It goes by, whether you do or you don't, it goes by.
Just like sand through the hourglass, it passes by.
Time is ever elusive. Every second, millisecond, as we sit here, live and breathe and exist, time is going by.
It flies right by, hold tight, it just goes by.
There's nothing we could do about it, right? You ever think, man, if I would have stuck to my goals, my routine, whatever it is, working out, eating right, practicing more, being more vigilant in any business practices or whatever. You ever think, oh man, if I would have just done that every day or at least 5 days a week, I would have already accomplished blah, 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 blah. Exactly. Look, I've been there before. I've felt that and I get it. I still feel those things and I'm probably still going to continue. Look, this is just human nature. But one of the things that helps me is listening to other people, especially with mindset, right? But then also listening to those who came before me in my field that do the same craft that I do, music. When I hear people's struggles and I hear about their stories and their wisdom and their knowledge and their experiences, and they tell me like, man, if you try this, do this, look at it this way, reframe it, that really helps. So that's why the Career Musician Podcast exists. Now, this podcast inception started back in the 2010s, probably around 2000, I want to say 13, 14. And then I really took the bull by the horns 2015, and then I fell off. And then when the pandemic hit, 2020, I really hunkered down and hit it hard. We have almost 200 episodes now. And with this new season 2025, my goal is to see if we can knock out 300 episodes by the end of this year. We'll see. But for right now, we're going to start one step at a time. Every Monday, we're going to have a new podcast episode. And I would encourage you to tune in and, follow us on all the platforms for socials. And then whichever podcast platform you prefer, go ahead and tune in, follow the show, download the show, subscribe, whatever you got to do on that platform so that you can stay in the know. Now, as we know, time goes by no matter what. Like I said, whether you do or you don't. So if you do the things that you desire, or if you don't do the things, time is going to go by either way. I prefer to get those things done. And the way we do that is we have to have a POA, a plan of attack. And we have to be what? Consistent. Consistency is key, my friends. Time goes by and consistency is the key. Now, how do we remain consistent? Well, we can't wait for our old friend motivation. You know why? Because that old friend of ours, motivation, man, they don't show up all the time when we need them. And that sucks. So we can't rely on motivation. We have to therefore practice discipline so that we can be consistent in our actions. Now, something really cool happens when we do this. When we exercise discipline and we are consistent in anything, we get the results of the compound effect. We get compounded results. So in other words, if you say, listen, I am going to work out every day at 9 a.m. and I'm going to do 5 days a week, and on the weekends, maybe I'll do some fun activities, but at least I'm going to commit Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. working out. If you do that for a month, you're going to be like, wow, I see some results. If you do that for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, holy cow. What happens is those results stack up, right? And they start compounding upon themselves. And it's like, whoa, you could be jacked in a year or less, right? Or if it's not your goal to be jacked, you can have lost a lot of weight, whatever it is. But that's always a great metaphor to use because it's so easy for all of us to identify with and understand. Same thing comes with practicing. If you ever thought, man, if I could just get the Paganini 24 Caprices, oh my gosh, so hard, right? If you're a violinist or even a guitarist or a cellist, whatever, and you're like, oh, but man, how am I going to do all 24 Caprices? They are so crazy. Oh, you can't eat an elephant all at once. You have to start one little bite at a time. But here's the thing, you got to be consistent. So if you say every day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., I'm going to practice 2 hours. No matter what, come hell or high water, that's what I'm doing. Or even if you can't put a time on it, maybe you're on the road, maybe you have all kinds of different crazy work schedules or things. If you can't put a time on it, yes, that was my dog, Sir Duke Ellington. Okay, Sir Duke, thank you. But he agrees. Even if you can't put a time stamp on it, at least you can say, well, I'm going to do this every day. Okay, so whatever it is. So remember, we got time. Whether you do or you don't, it goes by. Consistency, you got to do something consistent to see those compounded results.
All right, now it's time for a story. Well, it just so happens that I let time get the better of me as a songwriter, a singer, an artist, a performer in my own right. You see, I was so busy making a living as a career musician, using my talents and skills to serve others, which is great and amazing. And it has afforded me a wonderful career and life in which I'm truly grateful for. But I was so busy doing that for others that I kept telling myself, it's okay. I'm gonna do my own artistry. I'll get to it. Next month, I don't have nearly as many gigs. I'm just gonna hunker down and really dedicate a bunch of time to finishing my EP or finishing my record. And then once it's finished, then I'm gonna start promoting it and figuring out how to book it. And then I'm gonna try to get gigs and so on and so forth, right? And I would do that. I would do those things. I would take those small steps, and every time, don't you know, I would take a step in the right direction. For some reason, I just didn't have all of the confidence that I needed. The insecurities were a little too overwhelming. But let's not get away from the fact that time was going by. So even though I wasn't quote unquote feeling it, or it wasn't just right for me in that moment, time was still slipping by day. And it almost seems like I was none the wiser. It just happens. And then you realize, wait a minute, 5 years has gone by since I started my project, quote unquote. And then you're like, dang, okay, I got to get back to it. So that would happen. So then I'd be on the road, and a lot of the images you see here in this video are of me when I was on the road with other artists supporting them. I was on break, right? So I had time, a day off or before sound check or, whenever. And I would just go out into the nature and record myself playing. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to use this material to support my own artistry. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to post it like crazy on social media and blah, 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 and this and that and XYZ. And I'm making all these plans in my head. And I'm following through on some of the executing tasks, right? I know I need to shoot a bunch of social media, so I'm doing that. I know I need to corral my buddies together and finish the album and record it and mix it and master it. So I did that. But guess what, guys? It took 16 years from inception. And that's because time is ever elusive and it goes by, whether we do or we don't. So don't let that be you. Take time and grab it by the horns right now and use it to your advantage.
And finally, the last thing I want to wrap with for this episode, so important, what is your why? What's your ethos? Why do you do this? What's your code? What code of conduct do you live by? Why are you a musician? Something I like to always say is that we as musicians don't save lives, but we enhance them. And I kind of take that seriously, especially in this last decade or so. I really have been thinking about that more literally because I've had a 3-decade plus career in music, only doing music, very grateful. Now I've had lots of ups and downs, but in these 3 decades, I've learned, you know what? We're not saving lives, or we're not surgeons or people in the hospitals, all the amazing emergency workers that we have in this globe. I can't give them enough accolades, right? But we don't save lives like they do in the literal sense, but rather we enhance them. And we do that through emotion, touching the spirit and the soul and the emotions of the human element with music. Because remember, music is the one universal language. Everybody speaks it. It doesn't matter which actual tongue you speak, but as soon as you hear music, you're like, oh, I know what that is. This song makes me feel this. This style makes me feel this. So we have that ability to connect with humans across the globe just by playing music. Therefore, we are here to enhance lives. So take all that information and then boil it down to you. Be like, okay, now wait a minute. If that's the grander scale of what music can do for humanity, what do I want to do with my music? And you might think, well, I want to be a superstar. I want to, like Taylor Swift, oh my gosh, she's a billionaire and she's sold kajillion, streams and records and this and that. And her fans are all over, Sure, that's great. But peel it back a couple layers. Like that's the big, big, big goal, right? But let's take some steps back and let's think, well, I'm an artist and I want to be like Taylor Swift, fill in the blank. I want to be like HER, fill in the blank. Whomever it is. I want to be like Shaka Khan. I want to be like, you name it, there's no limit. But peel it back and say, who am I as a musician, as a person? And what's your message? What do you want to tell the world? What do you want to tell humanity through your music? What do you want to convey through your music? And that's your ethos. And what do you stand for? What's your code, right? So I always think, okay, my ethos, my value systems, my ethics are, I want to be a good person. I don't want to hold grudges. I want to forgive and let live. I want to be empathetic as possible. But more than that, I have this desire to share joy and even sadness. Like, look, all my music is not happy. I write all kinds of different music, happy, sad, in between, all these different, the whole rainbow of emotions that we have as humans. So, but I want to convey those emotions through every musical piece that I put out there. And even if it's just playing my guitar, if I pick up my guitar and play a few notes, I feel like I want to just make people feel the notes that I'm playing, right? Okay, so whatever it is, whatever that told you or made you feel like, or, anything. That's more jovial, right? That's a tune called Give Thanks. I wrote that years ago on Thanksgiving Day at a friend's house. But, so whatever it is, I want to bring that emotion to the forefront and help you experience amazing times and things through that musical, exposure, okay? And we know that music is powerful, just like smell, taste, old pictures, those memories come rushing back, and music can do that for us. So again, I want to talk about a lot of things this year in this new podcast season coming up, but really what I want you to think about is, what's your ethos? What's your purpose of doing this? What are some of the things that you want to accomplish with your music? Once again, I would encourage you, if you feel like you're not connecting, then reach out. Be a part of the career musician community. You have an opportunity here to be a part of the community. Leave some comments, hit me up on the DMs, share these messages, these podcasts with other people who you think might enjoy them. My name is Nomad, the career musician, and we exist to help you get gigs, keep gigs, and go beyond gigs and create all kinds of cool stuff with your music, and for you to have a sustainable career in music. I know it's tough, but we can do this. All right? We gotcha, and we will see you on the next episode.
Time is your most valuable resource, my friends. Use it wisely because dreams don't work unless you do. Now let's get to work. Welcome to the Career Musician Podcast, where we help you get the gig, keep the gig, and go beyond the gig.
I'm just a nomad, nowhere man, writing the songs in this one-man band. I'll roam this earth till I understand what love is all about in this nowhere land. Don't you go looking around for me. I'm just a lock who's searching for its key. I know